What's up, Broncos country? What would you do if I told you there's a 6'4" guy who ran faster than many NFL veterans, made spectacular plays in training camp, but still just got released by our beloved Denver Broncos? And that even though he was released, he can still come back? Well, this crazy situation happened this week, and the protagonist's name is Joaquin Davis. Before I tell you all the details of this emotional roller coaster, if you're true Denver Broncos family and don't want to miss any news about our orange and blue team, hit that subscribe button now and ring the bell. Because here we bring you all the hot news straight from Mile High. Look here, folks. Joaquin Davis's situation is one of those that touches the heart of any football fan. Picture this. A guy who came out of North Carolina Central, a university not everyone knows about, was literally forgotten by all 32 NFL franchises in the 2025 draft. That's right, family zero. No team believed in him enough to spend a draft. Pick on the kid. But you know what happens when you have talent and don't give up on your dreams. The universe conspires in your favor, and that's exactly what happened with Joaquin. After the draft, when all the spotlights had already dimmed and teams were scrambling for undrafted free agents, our Broncos saw something special in the kid, Sean. Payton and his scouting team noticed what the other 31 franchises missed: a 6.4 wide receiver, weighing 194 pounds, with speed that impressed even the most seasoned veterans on the roster. And here's an important detail: Broncos country. The guy came from an HBCU, a historically black university, where talents often stay somewhat hidden from NFL scouts. When Joaquin signed as an undrafted free agent with our Broncos, I remember many people didn't even know who this guy was. But those who follow the team closely, who go to practices, who pay attention to details, started to notice there was something different about this kid. Throughout training camp, Joaquin kept surprising everyone. It wasn't just his height, which already caught attention among the wide receivers, but it was the way he moved on the field. The kid had an initial burst that left defensive backs lost, and when the ball was in the air, he competed as if his life depended on that play. The locker room veterans started noticing the rookie. In passing game drills, he was always making those difficult catches look easy. In route running exercises, he showed precision that wasn't common for someone who came from a smaller university. And most importantly, he had hunger. Hunger of someone who knows this might be their only shot in life. Sean Payton, who has seen a lot of talent come through the NFL, started giving Joaquin more opportunities in practice. The kid was catching passes from second and third string quarterbacks, was standing out on special teams, was doing everything an undrafted rookie needs to do to get attention. But then, Denver Broncos family, came the cruelest moment in football. The roster cut down. This time of year, when teams need to cut from 90 players to just 53, where dreams are fulfilled and others are shattered in a matter of minutes. And last Sunday, the bomb dropped. Joaquin Davis, along with 4 other players, was released by the Broncos. Imagine the scene. A guy who spent months training, sweating, bleeding alongside his teammates, suddenly gets the call no player wants to receive. But here comes the part that makes me proud to be Broncos country. Our organization didn't do this out of malice or lack of recognition of the kid's talent. It was a purely strategic decision, and I'll explain why. The Broncos' wide receiver depth chart is simply loaded with talent. We have guys like Courtland Sutton, who's our #1 star, Jerry Jeudy, who went to Miami, but left a spot that was filled by other talents, Tim Patrick, who's back from injury, KJ Hamler, who's flying in practice, and a series of other receivers, who were also fighting for spots. For an undrafted rookie to get a spot on the Broncos' 53-man roster, he would have to be absolutely exceptional, otherworldly stuff. And Joaquin, no matter how much talent he has, is still a raw kid who needs development, who needs time to learn all the nuances of the professional game. So Sean Payton and his coaching staff made a smart decision: release Joaquin, knowing that probably no other team would claim him on waivers, then bring him back to the practice squad. And this is where things get interesting, folks. The practice squad is like a development academy for young players. It's where guys like Joaquin can continue training with the team, learning from coaches, evolving technically, without taking up one of the precious 53 spots on the main roster. Mike Kliss, who is one of the most respected voices when it comes to the Broncos, has already confirmed that Joaquin is a strong candidate to return to the practice squad if no one claims him during the waiver period. And look, being realistic here, Broncos country, the chances of someone picking up the kid are small. Why? Simple. All the other 31 franchises had the chance to draft Joaquin and didn't. They had the chance to sign him as an undrafted free agent and also didn't. So why the hell would they claim him now, especially when they know that would burn bridges? With the Broncos, that's the beauty of Sean Payton's strategy. He knows Joaquin has potential, but he also knows the kid needs time. So instead of burning a main roster spot with a guy who's not 100% ready yet, he preferred to make room for veterans who can contribute immediately, knowing he can develop Joaquin on the practice squad. And let's be honest here, family, how many cases do you know of guys who started on the practice squad and later became stars in the NFL? I can cite several: Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Chris Harris Jr. from the Broncos themselves. The practice squad isn't a death sentence for a player's career. Actually, for many guys, especially undrafted rookies, it's the gateway to a long and successful NFL career. Joaquin Davis has several characteristics that make me believe he can make it. First, the physique, 6'4", is no joke for a wide receiver. Guys with that height have a natural advantage in the red zone, can be reliable targets in third down situations, can create mismatches against smaller defensive backs. Second, the speed. Training camp reports indicated the kid was one of the fastest on the roster. And speed, folks, can't be taught. You're born with it or you don't have it. Route running can be taught, timing with the quarterback can be developed, but that initial burst that leaves the cornerback eating dust, that's a gift. Third, and perhaps most important, the mentality. A guy who came from a smaller university, who was ignored by all 32 franchises in the draft, but still didn't give up on the dream, has a hunger that can't be bought anywhere. This hunger is what separates guys who manage to establish themselves in the NFL from those who fall by the wayside. Joaquin went through every possible adversity to get where he got. He played at a university that doesn't get the same media attention as the big conferences. He didn't have the same support, the same equipment, the same training conditions as guys from famous universities. Even so, he stood out enough to catch the attention of Broncos scouts. And when he arrived at training camp, he wasn't intimidated. By sharing the field with millionaire veterans, with first-round draft picks, with guys who were already established in the league. This underdog mentality is exactly what Sean Payton looks for in his players. The coach loves guys who have something to prove, who arrive in the locker room with a chip on their shoulder, who treat every rep in practice as if it were a matter of life or death. And speaking of Sean Payton, let's take a look at the coach's history with undrafted players. During his time with the Saints, he developed several guys who weren't drafted and became important pieces of the team. He has a clinical eye for identifying hidden talents, and most importantly, he has the patience to develop them. Joaquin couldn't be in a better place for his career. The Broncos have one of the best player development structures in the NFL. The coaches are experienced, the locker room veterans are professional, and the team culture encourages healthy competition. If the kid can get a spot on the practice squad, he'll have access to the same training as the starters. He'll be able to learn from first-class coaches. He'll be able to observe up close how veterans like Cortland Sutton prepare for games. More importantly, he'll have the opportunity to show evolution week after week. If any of the starting wide receivers get injured during the season, Joaquin can be promoted from the practice squad to the main roster in a matter of hours. And look how interesting this is, Broncos country. The timing of this whole situation is perfect. We're in an era where the NFL is increasingly receptive to talents coming from smaller universities, especially HBCUs. The league is making a conscious effort to identify and develop these players who were previously ignored. Joaquin represents exactly this movement. He's living proof that talent doesn't choose zip codes, doesn't choose famous universities, doesn't choose powerful conferences. Talent is talent, and when you have the right opportunity in the right place with the right people around you, things can happen very quickly. So, Denver Broncos family, while it might seem like bad news that Joaquin was released, I prefer to see the positive side. The Broncos haven't given up on him. They're just being strategic, creating a development path that could be much more beneficial for the kid's long-term career. Imagine if in 2 years, Joaquin Davis is scoring touchdowns at Empower Field, being one of our quarterback's favorite targets, helping the Broncos reach the playoffs. This could very well be reality, and it all started with this apparently negative decision of being released. Because at the end of the day, Broncos country, football is about opportunities, and Joaquin Davis will still have many opportunities to show that those 32 franchises made a gigantic mistake in not believing in him in the draft. The difference is that now he has the chance to prove it wearing orange and blue colors, representing the Denver Broncos family, being part of this legacy of excellence that our team has carried for decades. And you can be sure of one thing. If Joaquin gets that practice squad spot, he's going to work like a man possessed to show he deserves a promotion. Every practice will be a Super Bowl final for him. Every rep will be treated as the most important of his career. That's the mentality I want to see in our Broncos players. It doesn't matter if you were a first-round draft pick or if you were forgotten by everyone. What matters is what you do with the opportunity when it appears in front of you. Joaquin Davis represents everything beautiful about sports: perseverance, determination, the ability to transform adversity into motivation. He's the type of guy who makes you root for him, who makes you believe that dreams are still possible in professional sports. If you're true Broncos country, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates about Joaquin's situation and all the other players fighting for a spot on our team. And look, folks, regardless of what happens with Joaquin Davis in the coming weeks, one thing is certain. This is one of those situations that shows why we love football so much. It's unpredictable, it's emotional, it's full of twists that nobody expects. Who would have thought that a wide receiver from a North Carolina university that not many people knew well would be generating so much buzz among the Denver Broncos family? Who would have thought that a guy who was ignored by all franchises in the draft would be discussed as a possible important addition to our team's future? These are the beauties of our sport, family. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many people doubted you. If you have talent and determination, you'll always have a chance to prove your worth. And Joaquin Davis, even having been released yesterday, still has every chance in the world to become an important piece of the Denver Broncos. The practice squad might just be the first step of a ladder that could take him very far. So let's hope no other team claims the kid on waivers so he can return to the Broncos via practice squad, and so he can make the most of this second chance in the best possible way. Because if there's one thing I've learned following the NFL all these years, it's that sometimes the best acquisitions are those that nobody saw coming. And Joaquin Davis could very well be one of those acquisitions that in a few years we'll look back and say, how did 31 teams let this guy slip by? So what do you think about this whole situation, Denver Broncos family? Do you believe Joaquin Davis can develop on the practice squad and eventually become an important contributor to our team? Or do you think it was right to release the kid and focus on more experienced veterans? Leave your opinion in the comments, because I love knowing what Broncos country is thinking about these team moves. And don't forget to hit that like if you enjoyed this video and want us to keep bringing all the news about our Broncos. Till the next video, family, and may the waivers be favorable for Joaquin Davis to return home to Mile High.